Sitting ducks at sea. Join us today as we take a look at some ill-fated vessels during wartime that were destined to be destroyed by overwhelmingly superior enemy forces. Number 7. SS Thistlegorm. The SS Thistlegorm was constructed by J.L. Thompson & Sons in Sunderland County, Durham. It set sail for the first time on April 9, 1940, a product born from the necessities of World War II. At 415 feet in length and a beam measuring 58 feet and a depth of 25 feet, Thistlegorm was a formidable vessel, boasting a 3-cylinder triple-expansion engine crafted by Northeastern Marine Engineering. Built for Albin Line and funded in part by the Ministry of War Transport, the ship was defensively armed with a 4.7-inch stern-mounted gun and a heavy-caliber machine gun. Having successfully completed 3 voyages, including trips to the United States, Argentina, and the West Indies, Thistlegorm embarked on its fateful 4th journey from Glasgow on June 2, 1941, bound for Alexandria, Egypt. Laden with a diverse cargo from Bedford trucks and Universal Carrier armored vehicles to North 16H motorcycles, Bren guns, and even steam locomotives, and the ship's importance was underscored by the presence of 9 naval personnel manning defensive weaponry. Navigating the treacherous Mediterranean waters, Thistlegorm sailed as part of a convoy through Cape Town, South Africa, and up the east coast of Africa, only to face an unforeseen obstacle. A collision in the Suez Canal diverted the convoy to Safe Anchorage F, where the ship would anchor until its tragic end on October 6, 1941. The vessel became an unintended target of German bombers dispatched from Crete, seeking a presumed troop carrier. The 2.5-ton high-explosive bomb struck hold number 4, leading to a catastrophic explosion that sealed the Thistlegorm's fate. The ship sank, claiming the lives of 4 sailors and 5 gunners, while survivors were rescued by the HMS Carlisle. Today, the remnants of Thistlegorm rest on the seafloor near Ras Mohammed in Egypt. Number 6. Convoy PQ17. The disaster Convoy PQ17 was involved in, a pivotal event in naval history during World War II, unfolded as a tragic saga of vulnerability and loss on the treacherous Arctic route. On June 27, 1942, the Allied convoy departed Valfjord, Iceland, bound for Arkhangelsk, which is located in the Soviet Union. However, German forces detected the convoy on July 1st, relentlessly shadowing and then attacking it. The convoy faced a critical juncture when First Sea Lord Admiral Dudley Pound, acting on false information about German surface units, ordered the withdrawal of the covering force, leaving the merchant ships utterly defenseless. The perceived threat of the German battleship Tirpitz further fueled the decision. The convoy, now without proper escort, became a collection of sitting ducks. As Luftwaffe aircraft and U-boats descended upon the scattered ships, chaos ensued. The convoy's close escort and covering forces, which were crucial for protection, withdrew, leaving the merchant vessels exposed. The Luftwaffe relentlessly attacked, sinking numerous ships, and of the 35 vessels, only 11 reached Arkhangelsk, delivering a fraction of the intended cargo. The disaster exposed the inherent challenges of Arctic convoys, compounded by the midnight sun, making them susceptible to German intelligence and cryptological analysis. The German success underscored the grave difficulty of supplying the Soviet Union through this perilous route. The background of Convoy PQ17 is traced back to the agreement between the British and American governments to provide unconditional aid to the Soviet Union. The Arctic convoys emerged as a lifeline, navigating perilous waters around the North Cape to deliver essential supplies to the isolated Soviets. The British plans, which were ill-fated from the start, faced the concentrated strength of the Kriegsmarine in Norwegian waters. German intelligence anticipated and exploited Allied vulnerabilities, leading to the tragic events of PQ17. The convoy's losses, exacerbated by the premature decision to scatter, dealt a severe blow to Allied efforts and strained relations with the Soviet Union. Before we continue, if you're joining us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button to unlock a treasure trove of incredible videos. And don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Drop a comment below and tell us what content you'd like to see next. Number 5. HMS Jervis Bay. The HMS Jervis Bay, a British liner turned armed merchant cruiser that was identified by its pennant number F40, played a heroic role in World War II. It met its tragic end on November 5, 1940, in a valiant but one-sided encounter with the German heavy cruiser Admiral Scheer. Launched in 1922 as part of the Commonwealth Line steamer fleet, Jervis Bay operated in the immigrant trade between the United Kingdom and Australia alongside 4 sister ships. Due to financial challenges and labor strikes within the Commonwealth Line, the vessels, including Jervis Bay, were sold to the White Star Line in 1928. The ship underwent significant modifications in 1931, converting it from a multi-class liner to a one-class ship capable of carrying 270 passengers. Requisitioned by the Royal Navy in August of 1939 at the outbreak of World War II, Jervis Bay was armed with 7 6-inch guns and 2 3-inch guns, transforming her into an armed merchant cruiser. Jervis Bay, under the command of Captain Edward Fegan, had its first taste of action in an unfortunate incident in October of 1939, colliding with the old S-class destroyer HMS Sabre. However, its true moment of valor came during the convoy escort duties of May 1940. Assigned to protect Convoy HX-84, consisting of 37 merchant ships, Jervis Bay found itself face-to-face with the formidable Admiral Scheer, about 755 nautical miles southwest of Reykjavik. Captain Fegan, realizing the overwhelming superiority of the German warship, ordered the convoy to scatter and bravely steered Jervis Bay alone toward Admiral Scheer. The cruiser, hopelessly outgunned, engaged the larger warship, firing not with the expectation of causing damage but to distract and draw the enemy's fire away from the scattered merchantmen. Despite sustaining severe damage and casualties, Jervis Bay fought on, buying crucial time for the convoy to disperse. Jervis Bay's sacrifice wasn't in vain. It allowed most of the convoy to escape the clutches of the German cruiser. Captain Fegan's leadership and courage in the face of insurmountable odds earned him a posthumous Victoria Cross. The citation highlighted his valiant act of challenging hopeless odds, giving his life to save the ships under his protection and ensuring the survival of the majority of the convoy. Number 4. Force Zed. In late 1941, with the looming threat of war with Japan and the British Empire in Southeast Asia at risk, the British government dispatched Force Zed to bolster naval defenses in Singapore and act as a deterrent against Japanese aggression. This formidable task force included the state-of-the-art battleship Prince of Wales and the battlecruiser Repulse. However, despite their advanced capabilities, the fatal flaw in Force Zed's strategy was the lack of air cover, a crucial vulnerability that would prove disastrous. Arriving in Singapore on December 2, 1942, just 5 days before the attack on Pearl Harbor, Force Zed found itself without necessary aerial protection. On December 9th, Japanese scout planes detected the British task force in the Gulf of Thailand, setting the stage for a one-sided battle. The Imperial Japanese Navy's dive bombers and torpedo bombers, equipped with the most advanced technology of the time, overwhelmed the British ships. The HMS Prince of Wales, already crippled by a torpedo earlier that day, became extremely vulnerable to a heavy port list. This list exposed her starboard side, and at 12:20 p.m. more Japanese aircraft approached, launching torpedoes at short range. 3 of the torpedoes struck the battleship, causing extensive flooding and irreparable damage. Simultaneously, the HMS Repulse faced a barrage of torpedoes from multiple directions. Although avoiding some, one torpedo hit her port quarter, damaging the outer propeller shaft and causing flooding. Then, just moments later, another wave of torpedoes struck the Repulse, leading to extensive damage, a jammed rudder, and the battlecruiser beginning to heel over. The order to abandon ship was given, and by 12:32 p.m. the Repulse succumbed to the relentless assault. The sinking of Force Zed wasn't only a strategic disaster for the British, marking the effective end of their empire in the East, but it also signaled a paradigm shift in naval warfare. No longer would battleships be considered the masters of the ocean. Instead, air power became the decisive factor in naval engagements. The sinking of Force Zed marked the beginning of a new era in which the aircraft carrier and its complement of planes would dominate the seas. If you were responsible for naming your own secret task force, what would you call it? Let us know in the comments below. Number 3. HMS Rawalpindi. HMS Rawalpindi, once owned by the Distinguished Peninsular and Orient Steam Navigation Company, P&O, met a brave yet heartbreaking fate in the early months of World War II. The vessel faced a gripping surface confrontation against the formidable German battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, marking a moment of valiant sacrifice during a tumultuous period in history. Under the command of Captain Edward Coverley Kennedy, Rawalpindi transitioned from a luxurious passenger liner to an armed merchant cruiser after being requisitioned by the Admiralty in August 1939. Before her conversion, the Rawalpindi served the P&O fleet, boasting enough space for 307 first-class and 288 second-class passengers while plying the London to Bombay route. But after being requisitioned and armed by the Admiralty, she was equipped with 8 elderly 6-inch guns and 2 3-inch guns for her new role as an armed merchant cruiser. On October 19, 1939, while patrolling the Denmark Strait, Rawalpindi intercepted the German tanker Gonsenheim, but failed to prevent its scuttling by the crew. The armed cruiser then continued her service in the Northern Patrol, covering the region around Iceland. The climax of Rawalpindi's wartime service occurred on November 23, 1939, north of the Faroe Islands. Investigating a possible enemy sighting, she unexpectedly encountered the powerful German battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, conducting a sweep between Iceland and the Faroes. Despite being hopelessly outgunned, Captain Edward Coverley Kennedy chose to fight rather than surrender. And with resolve, he declared, "We'll fight them both, they'll sink us, and that will be that. Goodbye." In a courageous but unequal battle, Rawalpindi fought the German warships, but within 40 minutes the overwhelming firepower of Scharnhorst and Gneisenau proved insurmountable. Rawalpindi sank, claiming the lives of 238 men, including Captain Kennedy. However, the captain's bravery and sacrifice were not in vain, as the German warships, alerted by Rawalpindi's signal, were later engaged by the British Home Fleet. Captain Kennedy was posthumously mentioned in dispatches, and his legacy endured through the bravery displayed on that fateful day. Number 2. HMS Bramble. HMS Bramble, a Halcyon-class minesweeper commissioned just before World War II in 1939, demonstrated remarkable adaptability throughout its diverse service history. Serving as a minesweeper, convoy escort, and participating in perilous Russian convoys, the ship showcased its versatility. Despite its varied roles, the ship's final chapter unfolded tragically in a one-sided engagement during the Battle of the Barents Sea on December 31, 1942. The HMS Bramble undertook missions ranging from minesweeping in the North Sea to convoy escort duties in the Atlantic and hazardous Russian Arctic convoys. Ordered in August 1937 and launched in July 1938, Bramble underwent sea trials and joined the first minesweeping flotilla at Portland Harbor before being stationed at Scapa Flow in July 1939. Initially serving in the North Sea, the ship shifted to operations in the Thames estuary in February of 1941. Subsequently, Bramble transferred to the Western Approaches Command for Atlantic convoy escort duties in April 1941 and was attached to the 3rd Escort Group. Under the leadership of Captain John Crombie, who commanded the ship from July 22, 1941 to November 16, 1942, Bramble shouldered substantial responsibilities during this time frame. In October 1941, she was dispatched to partake in Russian convoys, including Convoy PQ17, while also actively contributing to local minesweeping, patrol duties, and escort missions for convoys entering and departing Archangelisk. After returning to the UK for a refit in January 1942, Bramble resumed convoy duty in April of that same year, participating in Convoy PQ17 to Russia. The ship continued its service in Russian waters until October, when it returned to the UK for repairs in the Humber shipyard. HMS Bramble met its fate during Convoy JW51B on December 31, 1942. While searching for stragglers, Bramble encountered the formidable German cruiser Admiral Hipper, as well as 3 destroyers. Despite putting up a brave fight, Bramble was overwhelmed and sunk with all hands on deck by the destroyer Frederick Egholt, in the frigid waters of the Barents Sea. And at number 1, the USS Pueblo. The capture of the USS Pueblo on January 23, 1968, marked a significant incident during the Cold War. The USS Pueblo, initially a Banner-class environmental research ship, had been converted into a spy ship of the United States Navy in 1967, tasked with monitoring electronic and radio signals from North Korea. The Pueblo incident unfolded less than a week after President Johnson's State of the Union address and amidst the escalating tensions of the Vietnam War. The ship, with its 83 crew members on board, encountered North Korean vessels in the Sea of Japan. North Korea claimed that the Pueblo had deliberately entered its territorial waters, while the United States maintained that the ship was in international waters. The North Korean vessels, including a submarine chaser and torpedo boats, confronted the Pueblo on January 23rd. Despite attempts to maneuver and evade, the Pueblo was outgunned and outrun. The North Korean forces opened fire, leading to a chase and subsequent attack. The Pueblo's crew, facing overwhelming firepower and lacking air support, had limited options for defense. The crew attempted to destroy sensitive materials on board, but the volume was too great to eliminate entirely. The North Korean vessels persisted, leading to the Pueblo's capture. And sadly, one crew member, Fireman Dwayne Hodges, lost his life during the attack. The aftermath of the incident saw the crew being taken into North Korean custody, where they faced starvation, torture, and psychological abuse. Commander Lloyd M. Butcher, the ship's captain, endured mock executions and eventually yielded to North Korean demands for a confession. The Pueblo remains held by North Korea, positioned along the Ponthong-gang Canal in Pyongyang, serving as a museum ship at the Victorious War Museum since early 2013. What other one-sided naval encounters would you like us to make a video about? Let us know down below in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.